Yo, what up? Trillo G Bun B, repping UGK for life, in here with Monster Energy and Monster Music. Gonna introduce everybody to the storefront here in Houston, Texas. Come on in, let's take a look at some shoes, baby. So Sneaker Summit would be considered a consignment store. Good friends of mine own the place, work here. We all just meet up here, usually 3-4 times a week. Or if we're in the area, just chop it up and either cop something or talk about what's coming new. You know, as you can see, this whole section is devoted to Yeezys, and this one is more of a Nike section, even though there's a Van here and Jam Master J Adidas. A lot of great basketball shoes in here. That's probably one of the most limited shoes in here, the Kobe 81. So yeah, there's only 8 pair of those in the world, 4 white, 4 black. Extremely hard to get. The owner is a huge Kobe Bryant fan. Also, we have the Shaquille O'Neal pump. This is actually his size. This would be a size 22. Bigger than the rims on most people's cars. Bigger than my head, friend. And it's signed by Shaq. Sneakers for me is a way to identify like-minded people, right? So some people collect cars, some people collect watches. Everybody has these certain things that they're into that kind of symbolizes who they are and how they see the world, you know? For me, it's sneakers, right? Because if you're into sneakers, it's very hard to identify you. In a room, I could be in a room full of 5,000 people, but I can see a certain shoe on someone's feet, and I know how serious they take sneaker culture. Union Jordan 4, this is the guava, this is the black. Here's the Travis Scott 4s. You can see the tongue, how high the tongue comes up. This is the normal regulation length of the tongue for Jordan 4. What Union did was basically fold it over and stitched it. So you can unstitch it and open it up if you want. This is upside down on the tongue, on the back of the tongue. So if you look on here, you'll see it and it's upside down. On this version, this is the Travis Scott 4, so obviously it says Travis Scott upside down, but that's usually where the Air Jordan labeling is on that shoe on the inside of the tongue. So these are like some of the most wanted shoes in the country, actually, and the world for that matter. I travel all around the world doing concerts. I go to London, Germany, specifically Japan. Obviously, a lot of things get lost in translation, but sneakers never get lost in translation. So if you walk in certain places and you don't speak the language, but you still rock certain pair of shoes, you'll be able to find the sneakerheads in that city, because either you'll make mention of their shoe or they'll make mention of yours. Nike did a collaboration with the Grateful Dead, old school psychedelic rock group. And so the yellow and the green were, I wouldn't say easily accessible. They were the easier of the two to get. The orange was exclusive only to one store in Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco, which is basically the neighborhood that Grateful Dead kind of formed in and is known for representing. That shoe was really probably one of the hardest shoes to get this year. There's actually a guy in here that hit it, which is ridiculous. As you can see, there's a wide variety of shoes here. There's Jordans, Dunks, Jordan highs, lows, pretty much almost every number. I think my love for sneakers kind of started around the 8th grade. There was something about that Jordan 1 model that just really stood out. And so that's the way to connect yourself to the legacy and the iconic figure that Michael Jordan is by wearing Michael Jordan shoes. So this is the Air Jordan Dior collaboration. This is the high, this is the low. These were super hard to get. People who had first access to these are people who are like really big Dior customers. Like Jordan didn't have these at all, really. You couldn't get these from Jordan brand, so it wasn't a shoe that showed up on like the sneakers app or anything like that. You literally had to get them from a Dior location. And because of COVID, it made it that much harder to actually get the shoe. I think one of the illest shoes I got during quarantine was probably the Civilis Dunk, which is really crazy. That's the one that changes color when heat gets on it. So that's regular, room temperature. That's elevated temperature. Of course, the Ben & Jerry's Nike SB Chunky Dunky, huge deal, right? The patterning, the material, the rollout was really cool. There's 2 versions. There's a regular version, and then there's a more exclusive Friends and Family version. So the Friends and Family version came in a replica Ben & Jerry's ice cream box. That's got to be top 3 shoe this year, I think. So this is a custom designed shoe. from my homie JC Lopez, the owner of Urban Necessities. As you can see, it's got a lot of distressed denim on it. You can still see the original Nike swoosh underneath it, but they customize it, the coloration, the distressed denim on it. It's got the yellowing on the sole for it. It's really crazy shoe. They put a lot of work into it. There's a lot of detail on this shoe. And I had no idea how I would get it because the store's in Las Vegas, and I'm not going to Nevada anytime soon because of quarantine. But he was kind enough to send me this shoe. So even with everything that's going on, you're still capable to get fresh shoes. It's a little bit harder, but chasing down shoes is something that we in the sneaker community do anyway, all day long. See if we can get these guavas. Close, but no cigar. But I brought some stuff that is so exclusive that even this store that has like some of the most exclusive shoes in the world, they don't even have. So I brought a couple of pairs and we'll walk you through them. This is the Jordan 2. This is the suit and tie edition, Legends of Summer. It has two different names. The inside says suit and tie. Basically, when Jay-Z and Justin Timberlake made the suit and tie song and went on tour together, Jordan created some shoes just for them. So these were never available at retail. The inserts actually say suit and tie. So this one says suit and this one says tie. I know a lot of different sneaker collectors and they all have like very exclusive stuff. I'm like the only guy I know that has this. The beauty about the sneaker community, right, is that it brings people who would never know each other, who would never be around each other, would never socialize with each other, into a common place in a common area under a common theme, sneakers. It doesn't matter if you're liberal, conservative, white, black, straight, gay, male, female, young, old, foreign, domestic. It doesn't really matter. Sneakers are probably a part of your life in some form or fashion. This shoe is very special. This is the Eminem Carhartt 4. So these shoes were designed for the 8 Mile premiere. They made these for 8 Mile. If you've seen the movie, he wears a lot of Carhartt in the movie. But for some reason, they didn't release them. When the movie released, they kind of held back on them. And basically they were just sitting around with like 150 pair of these shoes. So what they did was they auctioned off 5 pair, but then Paul Rosenberg, who runs Shady Records for Eminem, was still sitting around with an office full of these shoes. And so he called Jordan Brands like, hey, let's seed people for Christmas these shoes. So this was the Christmas present I got from Shady Records and Jordan. Like when I was growing up, like I said, we didn't have a lot of money, so we would shop out of Payless, you know? So I would have Pro Wings or whatever, right? And that would pretty much tell you I didn't have a lot of money. But if I pull up now and I got on like off-white Chicago colorway ones, right? Then that lets you know not only do I have money, I have access. So the shoes do a good job of explaining who you are without you even having to say anything. This last shoe, this is a really, really unique shoe. So this summer, ESPN did the documentary, The Last Dance, about the Chicago Bulls. The last episode, they showed this shoe. Jordan Brand seeded this shoe to certain people in time for them to have it when the last episode aired. So this is the Jordan Center Court. Beautiful shoe. This is the one shoe I haven't really gotten to wear yet. I'm gonna wear it, but I was saving it for like a suit. And this never retailed. This never really came out. So they made it and they presented it, but they never sold it. So I'm waiting for the right thing, like a wedding or something like that, to pull these out. It's an entry point to a conversation and getting to know people. Us at a time where a lot of people are not mixing with people that they normally wouldn't mix with, it gives us an opportunity to still be able to commune with fellow humans, right? And basically take away everything else that everyone is arguing about in the world. Because one thing you can't argue is a fresh pair of shoes. If they're fresh, clean, that's what they are. There's no division over that. I mean, I'm wearing a Cement 3, right? Like, I don't care who you are, where you're from. This is a fresh shoe. Doesn't matter what kind of shoes you're into, right? Like, if I'm wearing this or I see somebody with this, it automatically tells me that this is one of my people.